So Stephen King says, and I know these are three books that we all should have, Burroway, Dorothea Brand, and Stephen King. So Stephen King says, how long you let your book rest, sort of like bread dough between kneadings, is entirely up to you. But I think it should be a minimum of 6 weeks. So that's a guidepost. I'll skip to the Brand. You are simply not ready to read your story objectively when it is newly finished. And there are writers who cannot trust their objectivity toward their own work much under a month. Dorothea Brand. And the purpose of this, I think Janet Burroway gets into, you can also develop a closeness to your work, which is good, but at a certain point you may need to get away from it, to clear your head and allow the changes and ideas to fall out like a snow globe. Let it settle and give it some space. So the idea remains the same. After you finish your first draft, you've been through a very intense experience. It is a good idea to get a little distance. Go do something else. Go write something else if you want. Don't write something else if you want. The purpose of getting distance is to have fresh eyes. So you want to come to your reading of that first draft with a distance that makes you read it as if you didn't write it. I think that, for me, is the key. You want to sit down with it and just read it straight through. You're like you're reading someone else's book. You want to get a sense of the arc. You want to get a sense of the characters. You want to make notes about where there are gaps, where there are issues. When you hear, when I read through my drafts, I hear a tinniness in certain spots, these rough spots. I can't necessarily say what's wrong, but I know there's something wrong. And so this is your opportunity when you're reading through just to make a note. This is a problem. There's something wrong here. Don't get bogged down in it. You want to take your first reading when you get back to it in absorbing the big picture of your work and thinking about what that big picture is and how the pacing and narrative arc works.